What's up, soldiers? Thanks for joining me on this video today where we're talking about 5 beginner tips for strongman. So before we get started, please do me a favor, hit the like button. Please click subscribe to the channel to get more content on strongman and becoming your best, strongest self, okay? So these are all things that will benefit anybody at any level, but especially if you're somebody who's newer to the sport and doesn't really have a whole lot of time in this thing yet. These are just some general ideas I think will help you. So number 1 is just invest wisely in a program, coach, and or your food, not gear or equipment, I should also say, or supplements, right? So what we're looking to do is make sure we're developing a good baseline level of strength and performance. When we do that, we're able to get so much more out of good equipment like lifting shoes, belts, sleeves, wraps, all of that. Those will further enhance our performance the better we are without them. It's the same with supplements, like things like pre-workouts, this and that. We don't want to become reliant on our supplements or our equipment because then we are going to have lackluster performance when we don't have them, right? We don't want to become reliant on these things. We should be able to be strong and be conditioned sort of in any conditions with any set of kit or clothing. So in order to do that, get yourself a proper training program. If you can afford it, get yourself a good coach, and you need to be eating properly. There is no supplement that can replace the value and quality of a good, proper diet. Okay, so if you don't know what that means, you need to start looking into tracking your macronutrients, getting your protein right, and you can look at my channel for some more information on how to eat to be a better strongman, okay? So that's really very important. And if you do this right out the gate, you're gonna be able to capitalize quicker and faster on your training than people who just spend all their time ego lifting or just lifting however they feel, this and that. It's very important. So we're setting you up for really long-term success with repeated training cycles by hammering down these basics right out the gate and not relying on supplements, equipment, this and that, right? Number 2, study. There's so many different resources out there nowadays between YouTube, IG, or just actually showing up or spectating competitions. There's a lot of good shows that are online for all different weight classes now. There's a Pro Strongman League coming up. I forget which weight classes, but that's this Saturday. They run high-level weight class shows. There's OSG, there's Giants Live, there's all sorts of stuff that you can consume to watch as basically game tape. There's always something that you can watch and learn and kind of analyze, think like, oh, maybe I could try that, or I never thought of doing it like that. That's gonna give you insights on how to lift and perform better. So not only is watching competitions important, but you've got a lot of good coaches on YouTube and Instagram who are always sharing lots of tips, okay? So, you can follow me. I've got lots of good stuff. I really would like to recommend my coach, Max McCall. You have Josh Lancaster has really been helpful. Shane Jarman, MST Systems, Joey Zatmary. There's tons of awesome people out there giving you free educational resources. So take advantage of that if you can't get a program or get a coach or things like that, because this is another thing that will help you develop quicker instead of just guessing, oh, well, what's the right way to do this? Or how am I supposed to do that? You have a lot of resources at your availability. So study. Even if it's 20 minutes 3 times a week, if you have an hour every week over a year, that's gonna be 50 hours of study that you're doing to your craft. Imagine what that would do for you and your performance, right? Number 3, compete. Get out there and compete. Do not wait until you are strong enough to do something. What competing is gonna do for you is force you to develop faster. So even if you're gonna be somewhere where you might zero a little bit, you're gonna have to get used to performing under pressure. And if you want to be very good at this, there's always gonna be some level of pressure. So if you're nervous to jump into your first comp, second comp, some of those earlier stages, and you do want to be better, guess what? That doesn't go away. You're gonna have to get used to heavier, harder challenges, so you might as well start jumping in those sooner and later. So what's the really good thing about competing is it gives you an opportunity to kind of push yourself and sometimes perform better than you ever could have in a training session. So when we're thinking about like, what numbers do we need to work with in training, or like what are we aiming for, you can do things like set PRs and have metrics in place. So like, oh, okay, well, I actually can do that farmer's walk this fast, or like, oh, I did this many reps on the deadlift, or like, oh, I hit that number on a log. So you have some numbers to play with and understand like, all right, well, I'm here and then I can go here. All right, more on that in a second. Last thing about competing, networking. You get to meet a lot of good people in your network, potentially even some that are close by to you that can help you train. You can have training partners, you can pick up some good tips. This is another thing that study comes into play. You can see how people do it live and in real time, so you learn how to be a better competitor and athlete that way, and you just get experience. There's no way that you can become a great competitor just by showing up one time and locking in. It doesn't happen. There's too many intangibles that are going around on game day, from the flow of the show, the different types of equipment, the different environments that you could be in. So in order to be comfortable and act like a pro in these environments, you just got to start getting out there to know how to handle yourself, right? Number 4, sleep and recover. All strongman athletes need to be able to get good sleep and recover sufficiently. This becomes much more important, actually, the higher you get in strongman. But guess what? This is another thing where the sooner you lock this in, the faster you're going to get to that higher level. So if we can develop these habits of getting really good quality sleep, really good quality recovery, you're going to get better quicker, and then you're going to continue to improve as long as you want, right? So some people can get away with these, noob gains, these beginner gains right out the gate, but that only lasts for so long until you have to start utilizing very important principles like sleep, recovery, having a good program, having a good coach, and having a proper diet plan. So the sooner, again, that you can lock these things in, the faster you're gonna get stronger and the better you're gonna be as an athlete. This is where you start to see people get like unbelievable gains or whatever, or where they rapidly make progress. It's because they are doing all of these things, right? So lastly, set tangible goals. When we were talking about competing, I mentioned like that gives you an opportunity to say like, oh wow, well I deadlifted that weight this many times. I didn't know I could do that. So if you have future competitions or just need numbers in mind to train for, like you have hard, tangible, measurable results, okay? So people say a lot of times like, I want to get stronger, but that's not good enough to be a good strongman athlete. You need to have numbers. So do you want to deadlift 500, 600, 700, 800? Awesome. Write it down. That's measurable. And then also start with where you are now. Because if you're new and you can only deadlift 405 and you want to deadlift 800, then you just need to be realistic about what are the steps from here to there. When we can measure this, we have a better idea of like, all right, well, I need to do 450 first. Then I need to do 500. Then I need to do 550. So when we can, again, put those in hard numbers and have something that's tangible and graspable, we can use all these things that hopefully we're locking down: programs, coaches, food, study, recovery, competitions. We can use all of these things and these good, successful strongman habits to build a path to guarantee that you're going to get there. Because you might need to gain weight for this. You might need a coach that's going to fix your technique in order to get there. For me, that was my overhead pressing. I had these goals that I wanted to hit and I was stuck. So the only option left for me was to hire somebody that told me, okay, so here's actually how you need to do this, because what I was doing wasn't working, right? So other things you can do is like, body weight and body fat percentage goals. If you're a weight class athlete, then you sort of know, right? Like, where are my numbers? Like, what do I need to be in? This also comes into play if you eventually get into water cuts and weight cutting. Like, I always come into my competitions heavy because I can cut some of that weight, but I only really know this through experience of competing and understanding how to do that process. But when I have the hard, tangible numbers, I know exactly how many pounds I can cut for my water cut safely and efficiently to refuel and have a good, successful day. And I know that in hard numbers. So when you're thinking about like what you really want to achieve, set these tangible goals. I want to be this weight at this body fat percentage. I want to be able to lift this much. And also, I want to finish in the top 5. I want to finish on the podium. Okay, so some of these, like competition results, there's a lot more going on there than just putting 700 pounds on the bar because you're competing against people or this or that, but it's still a number and something that you can tangibly grasp, understand, and focus on to align your training and just help you get better faster. So those are my 5 beginner strongman tips. If you have anything else that you'd like to add or share, we'd love to hear from you. Please drop a comment down below. You can always reach out to me on Instagram at Stephen M. Coyne. It's the same username as my YouTube channel here. It's the same on every single platform across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, blah, blah, blah. And for more things to help you become the best strongman possible, from training programs to nutritional guides, recovery guides, and special guest Q&As with top-level pro athlete, strongman, and coaches, check out clubstrongman.com, okay? clubstrongman.com. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already, and have a championship day.